May I ask you a question? What is that one thing that God has called you to give up or to let go of? But you're not quite sure if you should simply because He hasn't told you what He'll replace it with, if He'll replace it with anything. Or He hasn't told you clearly how it's all going to work out when you do let go of that thing. The widow at Zarephath, who God commanded Elijah to go and see. God told him, I've commanded this lady to feed you, go and see her. And she was a pagan woman. He went to a pagan area. So whenever the lady saw him and he asked her for food, she told him, as your God lives, not even my God, as your God lives, I don't have any food for you. I only have enough that me and my son are going to eat this one last time and then we're going to die. You see, it was so bad for the lady that she had suicidal thoughts. She knew that her end was near. But instead of believing that, this God actually visited me and told me that this man was coming, and this man really did show up to confirm such a prophecy, I'm still not going to give him simply because even if I give him and God doesn't work it out, I'm going to die. And if I eat the food, it'll be my last food and I'm still going to die, but I won't give him. Are you holding on to a relationship that if you stay in it, it won't end well? But simply because you're fearful of stepping out and letting go, you will hold on to it regardless? Is there, I want to say, for lack of a better word, some savings that God has called you to make a faith risk with, but because you are in a fear reality, you're not going to do it. You know that if you keep the savings, eventually you'll have to use it and then you will lose it. But you'd rather hold on to it and it not increase simply because you're fearful of losing, even though God has commanded you. You see, you even say, it is your God, their God, because God does it for them. And I do believe with all my heart that God can do things for everybody else. I've heard all the testimonies and He never lets them down. But me, I'm so fearful, I'm not quite sure if He'll do it for me. And so I'll hold on to this thing. I'll hold on even if I know that holding on to it, it won't increase. And in fact, it will end eventually. And I won't have any way of replacing it. Possibly, I will end with it as well. What is that circumstance that you're holding on to, even though God has commanded you to let it go? Can I motivate you today to just make that step of faith? Yes, we can be faithful and fearful in the same breath. But you see, it is which one of those things we allow to dictate the actions that we do make. Are you going to make the faith risk or are you going to live in your fear reality? Fear can abide, it can be somewhere in the back. But if you use your feet to step in faith, fear can only look at you and watch you move away from it. Make the faith risk today. His righteous has never been forsaken, and his seed will never beg bread. He has you, and his promises are to prosper you. So if he commands you, don't do it off your own free will and do foolishness now. But if he commands you, that means he has more in store. When the widow listened to Elijah and she went in and she made him the bread first, do you know what happened? The Bible said the oil never dried up and her flour never went empty, according to the word of the Lord. So if God lays it on your heart to make a faith move today, even if fear pops up its little head, say, Fear, I know you're there, and I'm only human, but I'm going to move in faith because without faith, it is impossible to please God. And I'm going to move in faith because God knows what's around the corner. I do not. And though I cannot see it, and though I don't even know what He's going to do, I don't have the slightest clue. I'm going to trust that if it ends, it ends. But in Him, I'm pretty sure it will end well. Be blessed.